Right, now, trying to remember how it all goes together.
What part is this? Is the oil pump? Oils?
Carburetor.
Of course.
That's nice and free, so that's good. I don't know whether that brass bit there should be painted or not, but I'll leave it like that until I research it, because it only comes off with one screw. See, most motorbikes, when you turn the throttle,
Yeah.
it pulls the butterfly open, so it'll snap shut. Not on a Harley. When you turn the throttle, it pushes the throttle open. So your cable comes in there. Instead of when you do that, it would be there with that shut, and then does that. It's completely the other way round.
Right.
So you have to back load the throttle cable as such, and then just your idle adjustment there. Yeah, they're a strange old setup. The good thing about these, you've only got an idle mixture needle on these. On the military ones, I put a blanking plug in there, and your main, what would be adjustable on a normal Harley carb, for your high speed or power needle they call it. So power written there, and idle written there. So you can only adjust the idle mixture, so it was sort of squaddy proof, if you know what I mean. As you can see, I'm a very neat painter. It's nice and tight, which is good. Normally the choke shafts get worn out, which doesn't really matter too much, but they rattle. But having it plated gives it a little bit, only like probably microns, and the carb body isn't too worn on this one, so, but you've got to get it all the right way round. But I've got to put the Venturi in first. That only goes one way. Oh, that's good. Right, so just got to go out in the daylight, so you've got to find a hole, then that drops down in there. See if the main jet will drop in. That goes that away. Just got it. Then we've got to find our main spring and the cap. That will hold it all together for the moment. And that'll screw on there for the moment. Right, that will hold all that together. Right. Choke shaft we know goes that way. So that hits on that. When it's all together. Basically that needle sits in a hole at the bottom. And if you want a rich mixture, it would be, that pushes it down. So if that's spring loaded, that would be rich. So when your choke's on, you want it there. And the choke comes off, it pushes the needle down and weakens the mixture up on idle. But you've got to get it all in the right way round. You can only get the screws in one way. So that will be choke on. So that should line up with that. That'll be choke off, which is lifting the needle and pushing it down, that's right. You'll see why I'm faffing around doing this in a minute. You're weird. Should be okay now. Right. That goes that way. You always put a hole at the bottom. It's a drain off hole in case it gets too flooded. As long as that rotates freely and doesn't bind. I'll lock those up when it's done. Choke on, choke off. Okay, so that's right. You've got to put that tiny spring in that hole there. That's that. A little tiny bit of grease. and you put your ball bearing on top of the spring, hoping that it stays there. Right, so that is choke off, which should be downwards, I believe. Yeah. Right, now you've got to try and push that ball bearing down. Right, that's that. And then you have one of these special screws, so that lock pin goes right down through the middle of everything. Right, so that's choke on. Yeah?
Yep.
So that means that needle is spring loaded off of that. So that'll be lifting the needle off of the tube at the bottom. Yeah?
Okay.
So when you click that, that pushes that up, pushes your needle down. We'll put it together and you can see it easier. But that's why you put the ball bearing in, hear it notching.
Okay.
Otherwise it would just flap around wherever it wants. So that's a spring loaded ball bearing. So we've done our spring loading there. So we know that the needle's spring loaded there. So you can't damage the bottom of the needle if you wang it in too tight. So that goes on there. That fits in the base of there like that. That goes down in there. We've got a nut there. Bolt rather. I'm going to have to clean that.
What's that doing?
Just clears the threads out, it's a tap.
Okay. So you just set it to that, innit?
No, you change the ends of these. Like that's a screw size number 10, 32 threads per inch.
Okay.
And then you can get, that's an 8, screw size number 8, 32 threads. That's a 1/4 inch, 28 threads per inch. That's 5/16 by 18 Whitworth thread. So you get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds.
Okay.
But if you can't find, if you don't know what it is, you get something called a thread gauge. That's your thread gauges. See all those different sizes of teeth on them.
Okay, yeah.
So you can put that up against something. So if you found 32, there you go, and that fits, you can't see any daylight through it. So you know that's the right pitch, the right number of teeth. Okay. And you get a thing called a Zeus book. You can work out what everything is. So instead of winding that in, so if you tried to wind that in there, we'll see where that's recessed there. You probably snap it off inside the carburetor.
Okay.
Because it's a weak spot. So you make sure the threads are clean. Right, that's good. So that's choke off. So your idle needle is down in the taper at the bottom.
Yeah.
So you can adjust your mixture on that, rich or weak. And when your choke's on, that just richens it right up, so it takes the needle off the base.
Okay.
They do actually work. They're so basic. The other thing, there's a tube there, a Venturi tube. They get blocked, but I've cleaned it all out, so that's ready to go on. I'll just do the new float. Congratulations, you have purchased the highest quality Linkert float available. Always look for the rubber duck logo. The original ones were cork and they end up looking like that. This is the float bowl. Put that on there. That locks off the other side.
What's the purpose of the float bowl then?
Needle in there, sits on a base in there. As the fuel level rises, it stops the fuel coming in or out. So just lock it all off and then you have to adjust it all. That's got no fuel in it, so you can blow through it. When the float rises up, you can't blow through it at all.
Okay.
But that should be set to 1/4 inch below that level when it's upside down, and obviously it's a lot more than that, so you have to bend the tang on that. But what I want to do, it's quite easy to break these rubber ducky floats, so we'll drop it back out and then bend it, because you can snap them quite easily. And they're, believe it or not, they're about $40 odd. Don't ask me why, but they are.
Why are they so expensive?
Don't know. You set your float, if we look at that, it's offset that way, should be 3/32 to 1/16 of an inch, set that way, and when you turn it upside down, You should have 1/4 of an inch on your float height, which it is. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's set. Sometimes they, well, nearly always they piss out fuel until you give it a whack or move them around a bit. New gasket on the bowl. Turn it upside down so your main jet don't fall out. Well, it does go that way, doesn't it? Yeah. Bowl goes on there. New gasket on the bottom. And that's that.
Next week on the workshop.